And welcome again to the big match. And if figures mean anything, they certainly add up to a bumper weekend for goals. In 43 Football League matches yesterday, there were 133 goals. Well, we'll bring you a sprinkling of them now, including one from George Best. And in our main match, we had more than our share. It was Spurs against Nottingham Forest.
And now Chivers, and he's onside, he's all right. Off the post!
Also, Liverpool against Huddersfield.
Keegan, beautiful effort.
And Newcastle against Manchester United. And as a bonus, we have the goals from that astonishing Scottish League Cup final between Celtic and Partick Thistle.
Laurie chipping it across. McQuaid! Fantastic business going on in the goal here. What a sensation!
And as usual, Jimmy Hill is here with his analysis, and we have one of those fun spots that you so very much enjoy. But now let's get on with the action and the goals as we go to White Hart Lane, where the pitch now really is benefiting from a combination of better drainage and the summer-like weather that's gone with it. And where Spurs this season are unbeaten. What's more, they've averaged just over 3 goals a game for their home crowd this season. And now, against the bottom club, Nottingham Forest, Alan Mullery can lead an unchanged Spurs side. Ralph Coates, of course, is still injured, so Jimmy Neighbour gets another chance at 7, where there's always pressure from players like substitute Jimmy Pearce. As for Nottingham Forest, who'll be wearing the red shirts in this game, they really are a struggling combination this season. Only 1 league win, none away from home, and now without goalkeeper Jim Barron and fullback John Winfield, both injured, and both likely to be badly needed on this sort of occasion. The referee today, incidentally, is Tom Reynolds, and he comes from Swansea. Most eyes today, of course, though, on the Spurs players reported to have been blasted by Bill Nicholson after that disappointment in France. Martin Chivers was one, Martin Peters was another, and the third was skipper Alan Mullery. Forest will look to Ian Moore for his flair, and also very much to the goalkeeping skills of reserve Eric Hume. But now, the crowd waiting for the start.
So Spurs then, who felt the whip at their back over the last few days since that disappointing performance in France, get us away, defend the goal to our right, and it's going to be very interesting to see, indeed, how they react to the verbal lashing they've had from Bill Nicholson. Certainly the opportunity is open to them against the team bottom in the First Division, with only 1 league win this season, Nottingham Forest. Eric Hume, the reserve goalkeeper, in because Jim Barron has still got a finger injury. England. Fraser in for Nottingham Forest. Moore, Fraser. Perryman. Finding Knowles. Mullery pouncing there in the middle of the field. Peters, a nice glided pass there to Peters, and a clip there towards Chivers, and a fraction too high for him only. Joe Kinnear. Crowd raising its voice there, trying a 1-2, and Kinnear going on, and Peters to drive one low. Kinnear still right in there, and finally belted away by Fraser. Martin following in quickly. Beale. And the free kick given to Tottenham. Mike England. Chivers. Ball finally going off Peter Hindley for Spurs throw. And now with Knowles. Perryman. And no Spurs player going for it. A lack of understanding there. Forest throw. Richardson a long one forward. Again, England having the beating of Martin in the air. Knowles. Those long runs down the left by Cyril Knowles. Did very well indeed, did Knowles there, and it's still not away. Gilzine is leaping for it, getting a hit to it, just past. Gilzine, who's having a fine season for Tottenham with 12 goals so far. Richardson, cut out beautifully by Peters, killed dead. Knowles still up there, the appetite for attack. Gilzine. Chivers jockeying for position there, and it'll come through unexpectedly. Oh, and a great save by Hume from Mullery. Magnificent save by the reserve keeper there. A good, quick snapshot by Alan Mullery. England bundle off that ball by Martin. So Spurs take up the onslaught again. To Gilzine. Knowles has gone on. And Spurs will get the corner. Mike England's going right up into that area. This is the situation in that goal mouth now. Chivers, clearly the danger man. And Gilzine is there as well. Here's the corner now from Neighbour. Gilzine trying his flick back from the near post. Knowles. Mullery. Chivers. Dainty ball play by such a big man. Has such tremendous balance, and the ball for Peters, and he missed it! Beautifully put through by Martin Chivers, with all the delicacy of a man half his size, putting Peters completely through, and a miss that he'll not be at all happy about. Chivers to take this long throw again. Gilzine aiming to get underneath it. Mullery was coming in. Peters! No, disallowed. The whistle had gone. But he really let that one go, and it's a pity for Spurs fans that he hadn't let the one previously, when he'd been put through by Chivers, go as beautifully as that one. Heinley's header going straight to Knowles. Neighbour. Beale. Quick change of direction, and he finds Neighbour. Perryman. Kinnear. And Perryman's gone sprinting around the outside of Kinnear, more as a dummy, a decoy. Chivers not quite reaching this one. Peters. Finding Knowles. Again, Spurs beginning to dictate it. Knowles this time looking for Gilzine. Gilzine with his head, and Peters! And that's the goal! And one that counts from Martin Peters, with 20 minutes gone. Beautifully nodded down for him. So the men who were criticised, and one of them who was roundly criticised, Martin Peters, put Spurs ahead. Nodded down beautifully by Gilzine, and thundered in by Martin Peters. So Spurs go into the lead then with 20-odd minutes gone. A lead they've threatened for so long. Martin Peters, his 6th goal of the season. Beale in very quickly. Perryman to Peters. One to look for Chivers, but Bob Chapman completely in command of that situation. Beale getting up well. Kinnear chugging back quickly, and Martin going in too, and Beale once more getting Spurs out of trouble. Lyons trying to hit one first time. Chapman. Mackenzie. Neighbour. Beale to Jennings. Neighbour. Knowles. Good play by Knowles. He's really enjoying his game this afternoon. Neighbour now prepared to take on defenders. Chivers playing a beautiful 1-2, and Neighbours couldn't reach it, and neither could Chivers quite. But they were slicing great gaps through that Forest defence. Knowles planting a wide one there, a deep one. Chivers will hope to get underneath this one, and Forest under enormous pressure there. But now it's Robertson. Martin. Robertson. Perryman. Peters. and Neighbour. Peters has gone on the outside again. Beautifully played for him, and he is completely free. Chivers! Oh, a magnificent goal! Superbly created and brilliantly finished by Peters and Chivers between them. A really magnificent Tottenham goal. The beautiful little cross, first by Neighbour, taken first time by Peters, and inimitably Chivers there to provide the killer header. And now they're beginning to rip Nottingham Forest apart. And if Spurs continue in this vein, the gates most certainly are open for them. Kinnear. England. Perryman. Misunderstanding there between Gilzine and Kinnear, and Beale doing very well to stop Ian Moore in full flight. Philip Beale. Knowles. Perryman. Kinnear. Gilzine trying to dummy Chapman. He might try again, and he's given a penalty. He's given a penalty, and the opportunity now for Spurs to go 3 ahead with 3 goals in 5 minutes. Mr. Reynolds, absolutely no qualms at all about that one. It's going to be number 10, Martin Peters, to take it. And he'll be trying to beat Eric Hume of Nottingham Forest. Goal number 3. 3 goals in 5 minutes for Spurs, and never a moment of doubt that Peters would score with that penalty. So 3-0 to Spurs. O'Kane. Neighbour. Fraser. And Perryman stepping in nicely there for Spurs. Gilzine, as the white shirts come forward again. Knowles. Neighbour. Oh, Hindley going hard on him there. And certainly under the new regime, he could never be allowed to get away with that. Knowles with the free kick. Hindley on his chest. And now Ian Moore. Perryman in quickly. A nice little triangle there for Spurs. Knowles and Peters completing it. Mullery. Knowles. Played beyond Hindley there for Chivers. Chivers v Chapman. Mullery now. Gilzine. Chivers. Played there, 1-2 that almost came off again between Neighbour and Chivers, and Neighbour in with another chance. Still Neighbour across that goal. Lovely little slippery skills there from Jimmy Neighbour. England. Ian Moore. Robertson. And now to Lyons. And again Peters right back there to get it away for Spurs. And now it's the goal kick. So just over half an hour gone. Spurs leading by these 3 goals. Peters, Chivers, and Peters a penalty. Chivers alone up front for once. And now Peter Hindley for Nottingham Forest. Straight to Knowles. Neighbour. Got Knowles up there again in support for him and played too far ahead of Knowles. Richardson to look for T. Flicking that almost arrogantly over the head of Hindley. Seems to be enjoying his battles with a man who is a good deal taller and bigger than he is. And there's the cross that goes between Chivers. Now Gilzine, and a fine save, and he's completed the save because Chivers couldn't quite get in. Good work there by Hume, saving the shot from Gilzine in the first place. And then scampering across to prevent Chivers having a free shot at goal in the second place. Straight to Chivers. Oh, and he stopped it with his knees, did Hume, and he was a very lucky young fellow indeed. What a terrible kick. Straight to Chivers of all people. Perryman. Beale. And now Chivers, and he's onside, he's all right. Off the post, bad luck for Chivers. Gilzine trying to turn it back again for Chivers. And Chivers given offside. Well, it looked to me as though Chivers was behind Gilzine there, but the linesman was directly in line. And he had no doubts at all, certainly no doubts at all, that Chivers was desperately unlucky with that shot against the foot of that Forest post. England's header, Perryman. Robertson, Beale. Chivers laying that off most delicately there for Kinnear. Gilzine. Peters. Looking for Gilzine, who's made his run, and he just failed to connect. Beautiful run, though, by Gilzine. And a beautifully placed cross there by Martin Peters. Beale. Mullery ahead of him calling for it, but in fact he prefers Kinnear on the right. Chivers. Kinnear. Peters. Perryman. Might be getting into trouble going through with the tackle, and in fact bringing down Moore, but he was playing the ball all the time and the referee said go on. Beale. Mullery nodding it out there for Neighbour. Back in again for Mullery, and now for Knowles. Nice one-touch football there by Spurs. Across towards Peters, and his header is just over. And there, in fact, goes the whistle for half-time. Spurs well on top, and I suppose the thing that Forrest and Eric Hume particularly can most hope for is that their appetite for goals might diminish in the second half. Goals by Martin Chivers, the number 9, and 2 by Martin Peters, one of them from a penalty. Still to come for you to enjoy on the big match this afternoon. Highlights of Newcastle against Manchester United and Liverpool against Huddersfield. But the score here at White Hart Lane at half-time, Spurs 3, Nottingham Forest 0, and we'll be back with you in a couple of minutes. Welcome back as Nottingham Forest then get us away at the start of the second half. Forest, in fact, who've had only one win in their last 13 games, and that was against Aldershot, the 4th Division side in the League Cup. Certainly at the moment look as though they might add to that very unhappy record here at White Hart Lane this afternoon. 3-0 down, and England planting it back to Pat Jennings. Jennings, who really hasn't had a save to make so far in this game. That, in fact, could be the biggest evil for Spurs this afternoon, that they feel they've done enough already to win it. Which it may well be that they have. But Peters now to Mullery. Gilzine, nicely there for Peters. Squared again for Chivers. The chance was missed. Chivers prepared, though, to applaud Peters, who killed that ball and found exactly the right angle for him. Gilzine. Knowles. Perryman. Neighbour begging for the ball on this near touchline. And a lovely flighted ball there by Perryman. And now Neighbour. Gap opening up before him. And Kinnear over on his right. Joe Kinnear now. Back once more to Neighbour. A chance to fire one. And miscuing badly. And Chapman completely in the clear himself. Could have let that gone for the goal kick, but I suppose to be absolutely safe, and he wasn't to know that perhaps somebody was lurking behind him, decided to play it safe and give away the corner, which Jimmy Neighbour's going to take. And England again right up there. Mullery. Still Mullery looking for an angle for a shot, and getting one in! Alan Mullery, number 4. So a long snaking run from Mullery from in the touchline area, looking for the right angle all the time, eventually finding that and the back of the Forest net. So Spurs then leading now by 4-0. And so the 3 players who were most heavily criticised in the press by manager Bill Nicholson this afternoon now have all scored. Martin Chivers, Martin Peters, and finally the skipper Alan Mullery. Hindley. Beale. Oh! Couldn't have known that Pat Jennings was there. Forest substitute Alan Buckley wanting to come on his first game. And in fact, it's Neil Martin, the number 9, who's going off. The £70,000 man is called off, and a defender, in fact, is brought on to try and stem the flow of Tottenham attacks. Gilzine. Kinnear and Mullery. Back to Mike England. And now the substitute, Alan Buckley. Moore. Buckley trying a 1-2 there with Moore, and Moore is brought down by Perryman on the edge of that area. Gilzine looks to be in trouble. So Gilzine is hobbling, and it looks as though he's going off for treatment so that the game can get on. So no substitute at the moment, and the Spurs wall now facing this Nottingham Forest free kick. That's the wall that Nottingham Forest's Ian Moore has got to pierce. Perryman, Peters there in it, Beale's in it, and Mullery's in it. They They won it back 10 yards, and Martin Chivers, there they are, coming back 10 yards. Chivers there alongside the wall. In fact, that's a deceiving angle, but there's Moore with the kick, and well over. Alan Gilzine, in fact, is getting a tremendous round of applause from the crowd here. He really has become a big favourite here, but his face filled with pain. And Jimmy Pearce now coming on. Now Knowles. Played there for Chivers, and now for Pearce. Is this the chance? Oh, marvellous goal, and it's given without any doubt at all. The referee, in fact, looked at the linesman. He kept his flag down, and Pearce, from the sharpest of angle, really whacked it past Eric Hume. So a goal for Jimmy Pearce, and the 5th for Tottenham. Well, a tremendous shot there by Pearce. Hit with a real economy of effort. If there's any question mark at all, it's, I suppose, a very slight question mark against Hume, who'd left that near post. From that sort of angle, that should have been guarded. But certainly Pearce's shot was so swift and so sure. And now Beale. Spurs with their ambition still high, it seems. It seemed to have flagged a little bit just after half-time. Perryman now, on to Peters. Aim towards Chivers, and he missed it, but Perryman, and down goes Hume. An infringement there and a free kick. McKenzie. And now it's Richardson. Buckley getting in each other's way again, and Knowles to hammer it away towards Chivers, and he was fractionally offside when that ball was played. No question of that. Martin Chivers looking perplexed and wondering what the linesman gave, but there was absolutely no doubt at all about it. When that ball was hit out of defence, Chivers was a couple of feet offside. Nice little touch there by McKenzie for Lions. Moore. Fraser in very quickly. Moore not quickly enough. Handball given against John Richardson, or Paul Richardson, and quickly taken by Jimmy Pearce. Lions. Oh, and Peters getting it in the end. They looked for a time as though they were playing ducks and drakes with Martin Peters, but he took possession in the end, and now it's with Knowles. The little chip that was aimed in the first place for Chivers and never looked like reaching him, and it's Buckley now for Nottingham Forest. To Ian Moore. Going past Mullery quickly. England coming across to cover. That's a nice looking little cross there. Beale getting ahead to it though. Robertson turning it back once more. Ian Moore, who really has fought for Forest in this second half, with a shot just over that crossbar. Found a very useful yard of space there, with all the pace in the world, but is shot a yard or so too high. Ian Moore. So a quarter of an hour to go. Spurs 5-0 ahead. Chivers, nicely killed there. Now Perryman. Oh, Perryman and Chivers not reading the way it should have gone. And now it's McKenzie. Gamely taking on Philip Beale. but finding Mullery's there as well. But now it's Ian Moore. Nice little dummy there by Moore, and Mullery again saving Spurs. But now with Jimmy Pearce, men ahead of him, Chivers unmarked on the right, Neighbour over on the left. It's the ball to Neighbour. Neighbour just a little too slack and a little too casual there. But Bob Chapman penalised for bundling Neighbour off the ball. The free kick to Spurs. 10 minutes now to go. Bob Chapman, a really harassed defender there, this Nottingham Forest defence this afternoon. And Cyril Knowles to take the free kick for Tottenham. Pearce, Chivers and Peters are the men that he will mostly aim for. And Peters, in fact, Chivers. Now surely someone will have a go. It's there by Jimmy Pearce. It almost looked as though Spurs had lost their chance. Pat Jennings applauds from the other end. But it went from one to the other. They looked at each other, and finally Jimmy Pearce made it count. So Pearce, who's come on as a substitute, now scores his second goal of this game. And it looks as though Joe Kinnear is going to hobble off, leaving Spurs 6-0 ahead, and now down to 10 men. Perriman. Peters. Knowles. Going past Chapman, there really was no challenge there either, and Knowles going on, finally stopped by O'Kane. Forest defence really not making one effective tackle. Very weak indeed in the way that they've challenged these Spurs forwards, and now it's Lyons. Robertson outside him. Way over the head of Mackenzie, and Neighbour coming right back, and he'll flick this one to Mullery. Putting Mullery in trouble now. Buckley turning that across an empty goal. And Spurs very nearly punished there for their slackness, their far too casual approach to that situation. Well, that might have been the one crumb of comfort in the afternoon for Matt Gillies in the centre there, the Nottingham Forest manager. Chivers to Knowles. Philip Beale. Perriman. Pearce. And Forest throw. Peter Hindley making a slow and stately progress down that right. Lyons to tuck it back again to Richardson, and now with Ian Moore. Moore taking it up again. And a ricochet there. Buckley, can he get in? No, smothered by Pat Jennings. Good piece of goalkeeping, and Buckley really seems an industrious little player. Now Perriman, nicely placed in the middle of the field, but only two Spurs players are up, Chivers and Neighbour. Now it's Chivers. Peters has gone hard into that area, but it wouldn't fall for Spurs, and Forest get it away once more. It looks as though that Tottenham appetite has been satisfied, and it's Richardson bringing it away again for Nottingham Forest to Ian Moore. Skillfully getting past Knowles, putting it across there, and a goal! And it's scored by the number 6, Richardson. So much of it, though, to the credit of Ian Moore. A really brilliant run by the Forest number 11. Pulled back nicely, and Richardson whacking it in with his head to make it 6-1, and the last kick of the game. That is the final whistle. A brilliant victory by Spurs against surely one of the most inept sides in the First Division, certainly that I've seen. Martin Chivers, who scored one of the goals. Jimmy Pearce, who scored a couple of them, and Martin Peters, who scored another two, Alan Mullery adding the other one. So a very convincing victory by Spurs, answering all the criticism against them after that depressing performance in France. So the final score here at White Hart Lane, Tottenham Hotspur 6, Nottingham Forest 1.
Well, poor old Forest at times weak beyond belief, and Spurs at times equally brilliant. Still to come for you to enjoy on the programme today, we have highlights of Liverpool against Huddersfield, Newcastle against Manchester United, and that fantastic Scottish League Cup final between Celtic and Partick Thistle. And yes, a fun spot as well. Now, after yesterday's game, I had a long chat with Bill Nicholson. Although he wouldn't comment directly on that affair in Nantes, it seems that it may well be that he's not as annoyed with those Spurs players as we all at first believed. But there is still one Spurs player that the fans find very hard indeed to sum up, Martin Peters. Well, yesterday, Jimmy Hill went along to White Hart Lane, especially to look at Martin Peters.
Well, in fact, Sir Alf Ramsey said about Martin that he was 10 years ahead of his time. And I think this may have reacted unfairly on Martin in some ways, because people don't quite understand it, and they throw that remark at him. I think we found one or two of the answers to the brilliance of his play yesterday. He's a player who's most devastating in both penalty areas. He does a lot more work in his own penalty area than people imagine, and he's devastating indeed when he gets into his opponent's penalty area. But it's how he operates, darting up from the middle of the field, that really unravels the skill of the player. There he plays a ball to neighbour. And watch now, his brain, his football brain, is searching for the space in the Nottingham Forest penalty area. Who was that flashed across there? And can you say that he hasn't found all the space in the world to lay on that chance for Martin Chivers? It's a superb diving header. But on the other hand, who could deny that Peters was the architect of that goal? In fact, it is this bursting from the middle of the field into the penalty area that really makes him, for me, worth as much as any other player in the country. Without any doubt, it's difficult for opponents to play against it. Sometimes when he gets up there, he's not all that accurate with his shooting. 3 out of 4 times, he'll hit his shots well. He's seldom off target with his headers, but here's an example early on in the game. He just goes for this through run after that fine work by Martin Chivers and hammers it over the top. Not quite as consistent as he might be. Yet, on the other hand, when it comes to passing through balls from the middle of the field, watch this, the touch of that off the outside of his foot there to neighbour. There's not much can be left desired in that skill. And now the curved cross into the penalty area, this time to Gilzean. Measured to the inch, Gilzean found his own area of space there and is a half an inch from scoring. And the best move of the match. Peters on the ball, typically in the middle of the field, lays to Mullery. Watch what happens to him from now on as he runs to the right of the picture. Chivers to Peters, he's in acres of space again and lays on that chance for Martin Chivers. He pushes forward at every opportunity. This is a left foot cross into the area, accurately laid for Chivers again, which brings about Perryman's shot. But the speed of the brain works at all times in the middle of the field. Perryman, first time from Peters, leaves Knowles in that marvellous position. Sometimes hurried passes mean mistakes which the crowd don't like, but they also mean wonderful opportunities. He seldom loses in the air. That header onto Chivers' head creates the chance for Jimmy Pearce to hit that superb volley. And now finally, Peters at his devastating best, the thing that makes him feared by all opponents. In the middle of the field again, laying the ball back to Cyril Knowles. He's drifting. Again, his brain is searching for the space. There's the chip to Chivers, and who's found the space? And when you can find space that destroys defences from that position, then you're worth £200,000 of anybody's money.
Fascinating stuff there. Martin Peters, as I'm sure you've never seen him before, a truly tremendous player. Now some more action, and for this we go to Liverpool. Liverpool, in fact, who've lost 4 of their 7 games away from home, a record they badly need to improve. At home, though, they're unbeaten. Yesterday it was Liverpool against Huddersfield. The commentator's Gerald Sinstad. The pictures come from Granada Television. Huddersfield are in the striped shirts, and we pick it up in the second half.
Brian Hall leaving the kick for Tommy Smith. Keegan and Evans in the area. Keegan! Beautiful effort! So close. Lawson is stretched out, absolutely cold. Must have hit his head on the post as he pushed that one away. Ray Clements keeping warm in the sunshine, but nobody will be more sympathetic than he. He knows how dangerous this goalkeeping game can be. Smith. Cherry's clearance finds Worthington. David Smith beaten. Worthington again. Alan Jones on the far side. Highway going to challenge. Huddersfield giving the ball away again. Callahan. Got Hall out on the right. Now 4 men in the middle waiting for the cross. And Hall still going and going well. Evans had hit. He couldn't turn it in. Can Lawler? The whistle had gone. And he's given a penalty for handball. Huddersfield protesting about the handball, but the penalty given, and Tommy Smith to take it. He scored 3 penalties this season, and that wasn't the 4th, and now he squeezed it in. Lawson's so mad at himself. He smothered it, couldn't control it, and Smith following up. Squeezed it under him. Keegan to Highway. Ball. Highway again. Just 2 men waiting in the 6-yard area, or just outside it. Ball. Liverpool back playing the game they were playing in the first half. Hall's cross, too high for Keegan, gone right through to Ross. Highway down for Evans, and he's put it in! Alan Evans strikes at last.
Well, some people say goalkeepers are crazy. Well, crazy or not, the one great quality they all must have is courage. And Ian Lawson of Huddersfield Town certainly showed this yesterday, going in where it hurt when he tried to get to this near-post header from Kevin Keegan. Just look at that sickening crunch of his against the goalpost that knocked him flat out. And that was early in the second half. He still had a lot of work to do for Huddersfield Town after that, and he did it well with none of the luck. So there you are, Ian Lawson of Huddersfield, the goalkeeper, yesterday with problems, today with an enormous headache. Well, now let's have a look at some of your letters, and the first one, in fact, we had a large number of cards this week about that Jimmy Greaves' 4 goals in Kuwait last week, and the Kuwait commentary that went with them. But a number of people said that Jimmy Hill's throw that led to that 4th goal was a foul one. Jimmy, let's have a look.
Well, I don't think even the most critical referee could find anything wrong in this. The ball in 2 hands goes behind the head, thrown forward beautifully, and in my view, without any doubt, that referee was right, and Greaves' goal should stand. I want to deny the rumour that's going around the place that we have entered that bit of action for the Venice Film Festival.
So Jimmy Hill was right there with his throw. Dan Cullen of 4 Cregan Road, Londonderry, Northern Ireland, and J.R. Stevens of 48 Tyneham Close, Leigh-on-Sea, Essex, are clearly 2 big match viewers who enjoy the occasional fun spot that we've given you. Well, a lot of people we know enjoy those, so we've put together one more fun spot for you now. Oh, superb fun spot there. We must get one or two more of those as the season goes on. But now we come, in fact, to one of the most astonishing results, certainly in Scottish football, probably in British football for a long, long time. Celtic were 5-1 on favourites when they went into the Scottish League Cup final yesterday at Hampden Park against Partick Thistle. It seemed that the men in those famous hoop shirts couldn't possibly fail to win. But look what happened now with commentator Arthur Montford.
Brogan getting in a little bit of a tangle there. McQuaid a quick shot, and it wasn't far away. McQuaid with a corner kick. Over it comes, nicely placed, up go the heads. And it's stopped almost on the line, still not cleared. Down to Ray. And it's a goal! Ray scores for Thistle. McQuaid flicking it forward to Bowen. On to Laurie. Laurie, edge of the box. Inside, right foot shot to the far side, and it's there! Laurie scores a sensational goal. Carry infield, cut off by Campbell. Out to Colston, he's onside. Ray the only other forward up. McQuaid making ground quickly on the left. Not a good cross, but not fully cleared. Brogan in trouble. Laurie with a corner. Up go the heads. It's chance for Thistle. McQuaid scores! Bowen and Colston again. Colston getting the outside of Gemmell. Free kick. And there's Glavin on the just over the goal line. He managed to limp off there. And there's the free kick situation. Laurie coming across to take it. The tall figure of Dennis McQuaid going into the centre of the field. Celtic marshalling their forces. Taken by Laurie. In comes Bowen. Walks the ball into the net. It's 4-0. Tommy Gemmell forcing himself forward. A lovely through ball, and it must be a goal. Wonderful chance from Dalglish. Superb running by Gemmell. Dalglish took off at exactly the right moment, got the ball at exactly the right time, and somehow scooped it over the top, with Alan Rough in a very vulnerable position. Glorious chance for Celtic, but Thistle still lead 4-0. 10 minutes gone in the second half. Colston trying to get through there, headed away, kick clear out to Callaghan. It comes, tremendous pressure from Celtic, and another good save by Rough. Referee indicating free kick to Thistle, who still lead 4-0. Craig has it. Over comes his cross, headed down by McCarry. Here's a chance for McCarry now, out in front, and it must be a goal. Dalglish scores. Here comes Laurie for Thistle. Edge of the box, lets one go. And it's a sensational save by Williams. What a good save that was. Laurie with the corner, up go the heads. Ray heading it in over the top. Goal kick. Callaghan, good decision by Mr. Mullen. Advantage Hull applying there. Hood getting it across. Headed in, and another good save by Rough. Fine header from McCarry. What a marvellous game this is.
A marvellous game indeed, and a remarkable result. Congratulations to Partick Thistle. With the honours going round in Scottish football, that can't be such a bad thing. But now we come back to the English First Division and Manchester United. Again, they attracted the biggest crowd of the day in England when they went to Newcastle with 53,000 to watch them at St James's Park. Newcastle against Manchester United, pictures, time, tees, commentator Jeff Thomas. This is the goal that won the game.
Pleased, I think, with performances so far. Garling for Kidd. Back heel by Frank Clark. Hibbert. And when you think of Joe Harvey's problems, he's missing 7 players, normal first-team players: Ron Guthrie, Keith Dyson, Bobby Moncur, Jimmy Smith, David Young, David Craig and John McNamee. So to put out a side which is holding Manchester United to 0-0 at half-time is not too bad. Willie Morgan, Kidd leaving it for Law, and in goes Best, and that was a beautifully thought-out bit of play. Hit up again, Best to finish it off. Kidd it was who pushed it up. It rebounded off McFall, and George Best, with 65 seconds of the second half gone, who makes it 1-0. Brian Kidd and George Best, and from the very beginning, that was a beautifully thought-out piece of play by Manchester United.
So George Best does it again. Manchester United now 4 points ahead of everybody else. Well, a busy week in football coming up. In the Football League Cup, these are the matches affecting teams in our area. On Tuesday, Arsenal, Sheffield United, Queen's Park Rangers, Bristol Rovers, and on Wednesday, Chelsea against Bolton, Spurs against Preston, and West Ham, Liverpool. All matches starting at 7:30. Well, that's it for today. Hope you've enjoyed it. Certainly it was a great day for Tottenham yesterday, even for their substitute, Jimmy Pearce.
Played there for Chivers, and now for Pearce. Is this the chance? Oh, a marvellous goal!